Hi everyone, my name is Kathryn Rossati and I am a author of middle grade and young adult books. My latest book is called Naturally Nick and looks like this. I'll talk a bit more about that later on. But today I'm going to do a little creative writing workshop with you, um, which is all about how to make up your own villains. Um, so grab a pen and paper, or if you want to use a laptop or a tablet, or even if you do speech to text, however you want to make notes or things like that, go and grab that and we'll start. So, the very first thing that I'd like to do with you is just to do a mind map um, of all the different villains you can think of. So, when I say mind map, um, I've just drawn something like this. You can see I've written villains in the middle, and I'm going to list all the villains I can think of around here. Um, and once we've done that, I'll explain the next thing you do. So you can either pause the video here and do that, or you can follow me on to the next step. So once we've done our mind maps, we now have to think about what those villains that we've thought of um, sort of what villainous things they've done and what they want, um, and sort of things like that. So, my writing is a bit messy, but I will quickly show you what I've got. So, this is my villain mind map, and I've thought of villains from books that I like. I've even got some villains from my own book, actually, Nick, on here, but also from TV series, and also Disney films and things like that. So you can um, write down any sort of villains that you like for this. Um, and so let's see, I'm going to talk you through sort of things that I've got. So I've got Hades from the Disney film Hercules, and I've just written that he wants to be recognized as important. Um, and he sort of wants revenge on Zeus because Zeus sort of makes fun of him all the time, and Hades doesn't like it. And sort of the job that Hades does, is looking after all the people who have died, is quite important, and none of the other gods sort of take much notice of that. So those are the reasons why Hades does what he does in the film. I also have a character called Capricorn, who is the villain in a book by an author called Cornelia Funke, and the book's called Inkheart, and that also is a film as well. And so Capricorn is a character who is read out of a book, and in the book he comes from, um, he is a sort of low thief. He sort of works for someone else to do the stuff. And so when he is read out of his story, um, he has more freedom. And so one of the things he wants is he doesn't want to go back into his story. He wants to stay in sort of the real world as it is. And the other thing is because he has his freedom and he feels like he can do what he wants, he also seeks power. Um, and so those are his motivations. One of the other characters I'll talk about, I've got a character here called Queen Beryl. So Queen Beryl is the antagonist of it was actually a manga series first, but then became an anime and has had quite a few adaptations since then. But it's from a series called Sailor Moon, and Queen Beryl basically lost a war at the very start of the series, against the people of the Moon Kingdom, because in the world of Sailor Moon, there are people who live on the moon. Um, so Queen Beryl lost that fight, and she then wants revenge on the sort of daughter of the Queen of the Moon, because all the characters sort of get reborn on Earth. So Queen Beryl wants revenge on them, and she also wants to take over because she herself wants power, and to be seen as this really authoritative figure, and so does all sorts of nasty deeds because of that. Um, so I'll also go over um, the two antagonists from my book, Naturally Nick. So interestingly, there are two antagonists, as I've said, and they also work together. Now, this is sort of mild spoilers for the plot, but I won't give away too much. So we have one called RF, and he is a magician, and he basically um, all his shows and things like that sort of got cancelled, because there was another up and coming magician, who was more popular. So he wants revenge on that other magician, and he also sort of wants to be famous, to be the most well known magician. So that's his motivation for what he's trying to do. And then his sort of partner in crime, as such, is a person called Mr. Mudlark, who is an inventor. And um, so Mr. Mudlark has an interesting backstory. Um, Basically, again, I'm trying not to give too many spoilers here in case you do fancy having a read of Naturally Nick. But he loses someone very close to him, and so pours all his energy into his inventions. In this case, he makes mechanical dolls. And one of his things that he really wants is he wants his inventions, his dolls, to be taken seriously and to gain respect from his peers. And he sort of wants his work to be properly recognized. And also, another little thing is he also sort of wants to forget the past. And so that's why he's so involved in what he's doing. Um, and the last one I've got on here is Sauron, who is the antagonist from Lord of the Rings, often represented as being the big eye on the tower. Um, so very famously, he wants to rule them all. He wants to rule Middle Earth. Um, and so will do anything to make that happen. So that's my list. You probably got all different villains on yours, and that is wonderful. Um, and if you could just list sort of like I've done what they want or what they're trying to achieve. Um, and so again, you can pause now and do that, or follow me along to what we're going to do next. So putting mind maps aside, I said that the purpose of doing that was to get us thinking about motivations of villains. What we're going to do now is a little fun exercise. Um, you might need a die. Fun fact, if you don't already know this, one dice is just called a die, just a normal six-sided die. And you will need to draw some sort of charts, but I'll read out what you've got to do to it. So you're just going to need 6 boxes on each one. Now, what we're going to list, this one is sort of for scenarios of what might happen in a story. And so you can see I've put a scenario in each box, and then I've numbered them 1 to 6. So I'll just read these out in case you can't quite see them. And you can put these in any order you like in your boxes. So I'll just read out each scenario. So I've got steal an object, then I've got kidnap someone, then I've got end someone's life, a very nasty one. Then I've got poison someone, also quite nasty. Then I've got mess up a rival's plan, and then I've also got send a threatening letter. So those are some scenarios that you can